Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome into NFT Live. I'm sitting here with Gift Dead. I'm sitting here with amazing individuals in the chat. We are going to cover the NFT industry, the Web3 industry. Good morning, good evening, good night. I don't know how I missed my saying. I can't not do that on the episodes. Gift Dead, what's up, my man?
Must be those Monday vibes, bro. You gotta wake up, drink that caffeine. I'm over here feeling especially hairy today, feeling like a woolly mammoth. Haven't shaved in a couple
I can
weeks.
see it. I can see
Yo,
the under chin is growing in.
no, nothing November. It's in full effect. We hear. Yo, we didn't really get into any of the headlines. I hope
No,
we'll hit on
none.
some headlines because in GM Web 3, the whole conversation ended up being about NFT London. As we had hoped, we were able to get some of the friends over there who actually attended the event to come in, share their experiences, tell us what was what, set the record straight. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it ugly? What were the benefits? What were the downsides? So we got some really nuanced, balanced, some great conversation going
Yep.
on, and that's what we are always hoping for. Despite whatever spicy headlines we try and throw out there, even if we're being ironic or whatever, you know what? We try and provide valuable educational content.
I'm trying to think of the scale of spiciness. Isn't there like a term? What's the name for the scale of spiciness?
Yeah,
Like pepper. Come on, chat, help me out.
yeah, I have it over here.
It's not
Actually,
the Richter
yeah.
scale. I know that. On the scale of spiciness, like the title that Gift went with this morning was not even
Scoville's. It's the
Scoville.
Scoville scale. So actually, you can see the Scoville scale on mild mischief on Hexos is very low. This is not meant to be super
Well,
spicy. This is good
that
on everything right
that
there.
was what I thought about the spiciness level of your title this morning, and yet you came in. You're like, is it too spicy? Did
Dude,
I do
look,
something wrong?
I woke up. My phone was blown up this morning by someone. I won't name names. Longtime friend of the castle, friend of the show, who was absolutely like personally offended by this. like, look, we're trying to get better all the time. We need the feedback. We are obviously trying to balance this very fine line of how do we intrigue people, capture attention while also providing valuable, in-depth, high-quality editorial, educational, and entertaining content. It's not easy out here. These algorithms ain't making it easy. But I literally woke up to somebody blowing up my text, very like distraught, like upset, like I can't believe that your brand would ever do this. I expect such a higher standard. Like,
Listen,
man.
this is the way it works in the world of media today, okay? And there were a lot of conversations that were happening in the early morning alpha show on like how you should approach YouTube as opposed to Twitter Spaces, which is where the conversation took place. You have the provocative headline and then you go in with the quality content. That's how it works. Now, there are some content creators that come in with the shitty headline or the hot take headline and then provide terrible value inside of the episode.
Or
That is
that's
not
their
us. I hope
their
not.
their whole brand. Like, I'm not going to name any names, but there are certain influencers in the space whose entire brand is about shitting on everything, fudding everything, being controversial, taking the contrary side to every single argument, literally just stirring the pot. It's called trolling and shit posting.
Yeah.
That's what so much of the space. That's like a major feature of the space. It's not even a bug, So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know,
So
man. Clearly, we're not doing that. Like, that's not what we're doing here.
for
But who knows?
For those of you that are wondering what the hell we're even talking about, so NFT London was this past week and this past weekend. There were some reports, some pictures, some photos, some evidence that maybe NFT London did not go that well. We had the Web3 morning show this morning. People that went to the actual event showed up. We will get to that coverage and the information that we gained from that morning show here in just a second. But if this is your first time here, we are covering NFTs and Web3 every single day, Monday through Thursday. So not every day. Friday's like our rest day, our holy day, if you will. And that's when Fun Uncle puts out his great content. But as Gift just kind of motion, please leave a like. It does help the episode get out, and we see you guys in chat. Prodigy is showing up early and often with the Scoville. with the Scoville. That thank you for coming through and educating me on what that terminology is. Facts don't care about feelings. CryptoLander said he was there. So CryptoLander, friend of the network, friend of the tribe, in the tribe, OG member here, was at NFT London. So please drop your comments on what it was. I want to hear about this. I want to hear how NFT London was from the perspective of someone that I respect in the industry. Paxmark said, "What's with the Harmony One T-shirt?" Oh, you got a Harmony shirt on. I didn't even notice that.
Yo, today's all about irony. It's all about irony, bro.
Wait, what? Is there a problem with Harmony? Are they?
Well, do they even exist anymore? Is the question? Like, I actually don't even know. They got hacked for $100 million.
Saw that.
Literally, while we were at NFT NYC hosting our event, they were like the main sponsor of the event. I actually got this like at East Denver. I got this a while ago. Like Harmony was throwing like, okay,
I'm looking at this.
Harmony was throwing around ridiculous money during the bull market. Doing like they're the ones that did the Dead Mouse concert at East Denver. They were doing all this stuff, but they weren't paying enough attention to maybe
Security?
their core, their security, yeah, their core business. And so they kind of, again, I'm not trying to like, I don't know if somebody knows more about what's going on with Harmony right now. I've had some pretty inside takes because I know a bunch of the people that were working there. They lost a bunch of money, they wasted a bunch of money, and then they got hacked. Yeah, they got hacked for 100 mil. So it's like, I think they're still around. It looks like it's still there. I just don't know what they're doing anymore.
Yeah, 154th largest project in the space by market cap. You can come back in this space from $100 million.
You can. Oh, absolutely. They could sell. They could sell to somebody else. They could pivot, become something else. To me though, this already like feels like a vintage artifact. It's like one of those old vintage shirts that you go buy at at Buffalo Exchange. You're like, oh, that was such a funny thing that happened back in the 80s.
That's like a collectible now, GIF.
That's
the Tau Milk making an appearance.
Yo, we're rebranding oat milk to Tau Milk, by the way, if you didn't know. It's way cooler. Oat milk doesn't sound cool. It just doesn't sound dope.
It doesn't.
Tau.
It doesn't.
But if you spell oat backwards, it's Tau. So
thank you for that, GIF. I appreciate us getting to the bottom of that. Listen, thank you guys for joining us here on a Monday, getting your week started right with NFT Live. Prodigy's in the house saying OVOT, what the fuck up is up with my crew? So he's got some energy. Cromer saying OVOT. Time is joining, said he brought some friends as well. So definitely thank you guys for tuning in. Deck is in here on his day off from grinding Phantom Galaxies, a game that we kind of covered last week. So that went live over the weekend. Hopefully you are doing well, my friend. Don R, GM, and OVOT. And then Lander's coming in with the hot takes. So he says, all I have to say is if people didn't have a purpose for going to NFT London and went to just check it out, then I would say too early. If you had a purpose, it was amazing. That's an interesting take because that's what came up on the GM Web3 show. It's like if you didn't... Ooh. The why. Andy James.
Shout out Andy. No, this is a great segue. Like, I don't know how long we want to spend on NFT London before we get into the news headlines, but one of the biggest points, again, like, we use a spicy headline sometimes, but the point is to open up a dialogue and having meaningful discussion and try and focus on, like, how do we improve, how do we, like, activism, like, where do we go from here, right? We're here because we want the space to succeed. Like, if that's not clear, like, we're literally dedicating our lives to this shit. We want it to fucking succeed. So, like, anyway, one of the things that kind of came out of our conversation this morning is, like, the question of, like, why do these conferences even exist? Because it does feel like a lot of them, at least some of these bigger ones like NFT NYC, NFT London, they're just kind of, like, extractive. They're not really providing... like they're not built around a specific value. So there's two kind of like main values that these conferences can be serving. One of them is to be creating awesome, experiences, places for the community to connect, build, network, collaborate together, etc. So the existing community creating these spaces for them to build together, network, and create. The other one is to actually onboard more people into the space, bring new people, people who are crypto curious, who have heard of NFTs, who want to learn more, to actually educate and onboard new people and grow the space, thus providing a lot of value back into the space. And it doesn't seem like the way that NFT London, NFT NYC, and some of these bigger, like I'll throw NFT LA in there as well. It doesn't seem like they are doing either of those things well. And that's why that hole is being filled a lot of times by these satellite events that pop up around them. That's where a lot of the value is coming from, because that's where the community goes to get the cool experiences, to actually connect, build more meaningfully together. And a lot of the panels are just like bullshit. They bring on people like I heard that today at Expoverse, they were fucking kicking people off of panels literally like day of, to take $12,000 from some random person that wanted to show their project that day. It's like bullshit like that. Like, you're clearly not here for the right reason. Like, and I get that, like, you have to have a business model, but if you don't have your business model figured out and you're having to treat the community like that, that is purely extractive. And again, the model of this quantity over quality, of bringing 800 speakers to NFT London, or 1,500, 1,200 to NFT NYC, and expecting them to be your marketing, and then creating a super, super high price point for anybody else to get in, is fucking bullshit. They don't get the culture. They don't get the community aspect, and they're not focused there. And they're also not focused on bringing new people into the space, obviously.
And when we hosted the room this morning, we intentionally made the name of the room like, did NFT London fail? Was it empty? All this stuff. And we did that with this episode as well. But we actually had people that were at NFT London kind of come in and say, no, this was my experience. I actually had a good time. So there's like conflicting views here. And I feel like the people that did go to NFT NYC were very, very quick to jump on board with like these tweets. Again, this is the crux of the story, is that these tweets started to come out early yesterday, I believe. Let me see when that tweet, November 5th. So let me see what that is.
Well, and
it's
like
important, 2 days ago.
It's important to contextualize this. If you open up that thread, or like go down on that thread, like, part of the whole reason he posted this was to prove a point. And that's that people absolutely love to hate on NFTs and dunk on NFTs. And so he did a follow-up to this, basically showing that this one post got like over 6 million impressions. And he said at the end of it, like, look, the big takeaway here is that people love hating on NFTs. And that's true. And to your point, Q, I think especially a lot of the people that went to NFT NYC, a lot of people were primed to sort of react negatively to any sort of, evidence, quote unquote, of this not being well organized. So I think NFT NYC and the organizers have set them up for that, unfortunately. I do think, obviously, this guy is understanding how algorithms work, and that people just want to shit on anything and be negative online. So well done, well played, Dr. Nick, or whoever your name is. But I think, back to the point, we were able to actually get the truth or firsthand experiences from some people that went. And it sounds like most of the people that went actually had a really good time. Again, maybe mostly because of the satellite events and the community around the main conference. But, obviously pointing out, they had a lot of space, a lot of stages. It wasn't all empty. Some of them were actually really popping. It's not black or white. You could look at a lot of good things about it. There obviously was some not great things. The ticket price came up a lot as a negative. The fact that, again, they have this really, really high entry point for anybody else that wants to go.
So a couple questions. I've got a chat here as well, talking about Expoverse, talking about LA Blockchain Summit. So there's comments around other events. I would love to get people's takes on what their favorite events were. And then my other question being to the people that went, maybe Cryptolander or others that were at NFT London, is like, who put on good satellite events? Who were the good communities that kind of hosted what we saw in NFT NYC? I know Doodles did a great event in South by Southwest. So like, there's a ton of people here in the space that are putting on great satellite events, to your point. So there's one thing that I want to get to that's like the crux of this issue, which is the speakers. The speakers keep coming up over and over again. And I want to make sure everyone understands, like, NFT NYC specifically, this business, that is now moving to London and other places, they use the speaker list as ways to market the event. Like that, it's very plain and simple. That's why you get 800 speakers. That's why you get this Vietnam War memorial of speakers that were here at this conference. Like, you don't need this many speakers. The issue is they want people to hear about this event. So what they do is they say, hey, why don't you come be a speaker, or why don't you apply? And that gets a network effect of people at these conferences. And then
almost
you get these
everybody's
pictures.
accepted. Almost everybody. It's quantity over quality.
How many times have you heard, and I've thought this myself, it's like when you see a speaker list or you see a speaker panel, you're like, who the fuck is that? And they're talking about something that you're specifically a professional in or have experience in. And it's this person who has no clout in the space, is not around at all. And they're like talking as a premier professional on this topic. That has happened so many times. And it's only because that's how they get people to this conference. They have 800 people times 2, because they're probably bringing a guest times.
They're trying to outsource the marketing and the promotion and the actual like curation to the community, basically. And it's bullshit. If you're going to be asking for those crazy prices like that and not giving back more to those speakers, or at least doing a good job of setting them up, like, don't expect them to fucking promote your shit. Like, sorry, I don't like this model. I don't think it makes for a really high quality event, because it's actually like anti-curation. Like, basically, if you're accepting thousands of applications and more or less accepting everybody, and you're just throwing people up on stage at shitty times without any real context, like, that's not curation. It's not. It's literally like anti-curation. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with this, is that when you take this quantity over quality, or not even finding the middle ground of like actually like really doing a solid job with, you know, a handful of stages. Like, they've got so many stages and so many speakers, they can't even do a good job of organizing or coordinating all that. It's too much. It's too much. So I think using this strategy of outsourcing your marketing and promo by basically just inviting hundreds or thousands of speakers in the NFT NYC case, I don't think it's a great model. They clearly disagree. It feels very corporate and soulless to me. It feels extractive. They clearly disagree. They think it works for them. I will say the one good thing, again, is that it does at least aggregate quite a few. It gives some opportunities to, you know, upcoming people, and then it does aggregate quite a few different community members around these places, around these moments, which then again provides the opportunity for the satellite events, for the meaningful connections. So whether or not, you know, the conference is lit, there is some good coming out of that.
And that's what I hope people that haven't gone to NFT NYC or NFT London take away from this is, yes, these need to get better from the people that actually went. That's our experience. But it's not that they're bad. You know, it's not that it's bad because of these other satellite events. So don't not go to NFT NYC because of what you hear us talking about here. Because it's still a fucking great thing. Well, but to Lander's point, it's better to go with a purpose.
But is it worth spending $500, $600, $800 or whatever they're charging? Like, I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I use conference synonymously with the event, like in NYC. You're right. I should not say conference. I should say the week. You should go to NFT NYC week. You shouldn't necessarily go to these conferences. If you're a project founder and you don't know this already, do not pay to have a booth at these conferences. It's a complete waste of money. That, like, doing the project roundup when you go to that actual conference where they have like a track where you like go in like a 360 degree look at like all of these projects that spent money to be there. It's like, it's actually kind of damaging your brand. It's in my opinion, like, it's not great.
Well, it's losing money, generally speaking. You know, I've done art fairs in the past, even before doing, you know, a bunch of these satellite events. It's almost always a money loser. And I think the mistake, I'll just hit on this one more time. I talked about this a couple times on Web3, but I think the mistake that a lot of people make, to your point, is, you know, they've got a small business and they're trying to promote it and drive sales. And they think that these are marketplaces where they can actually get some kind of sales, or that they'll cover their costs if they show up there and they talk to a bunch of people, that they'll make it back. It's like 99.9% of the time, you're not, because most people, especially at these NFT or crypto events, they aren't going there to transact live. Like the live minting thing has not been cracked by anyone other than maybe Bright Moments. Most people are going there to have a good time, to network. If you can prepare them or prime them ahead of time, which again, this is a big part of what Bright Moments does. If you can prime people ahead of time that they're going there for the specific purpose of a live minting experience, okay. But if you're just like a cold, not a cold call, but like a cold conversation, right? Like nobody knows about you. First time they're learning about your product, they're not about to pull out their phone and mint some shit on your contract live.
Yeah,
it's not what most people are going to do. So don't waste your money. Yeah, spending again until somebody actually provides a really valuable, curated, designed situation for that, right? Like one of the things that keeps coming up is this concept of like an artist alley, which again, most of these conferences don't really do very well. Maybe Art Basel kind of like figures that out a little bit and does different versions of that. I would say Art Basel is the closest to doing some of that artist alley type stuff. But until somebody figures out how to design an artist alley, artist collector experience where it's literally like you are primed to go there to interact with these projects in a certain kind of way and have a good experience. Until that exists, it's not worth it.
Yeah, there's a lot of other comments coming through as well. Vegas was dead for the biggest tech conventions following the bubble burst in '99. Builders are ultimately glad they kept focus. So there's other features that led to this happening, although people did say it was, nicely attended, but there were areas where those pictures existed that it was actually true. Those aren't like doctored photos or anything, but to Donar's point, like not the best time to actually host an event in London. The pound has, fell off a cliff since March timeframe against the dollar. There's some other events going on at the same time. Web3 Summit in Lisbon, which I think the Nifty Portal guys are at, and a lot of other people are at the Web3 Summit in Lisbon. So they're not going to, a select few will bounce. They'll be like, hey, I'm going to go to London, then I'm going to go to Lisbon. But most people have to pick between the two. And just to wrap this conversation up, there was a good comment by Prodigy. Said, why so expensive to attend an event if you're trying to grow? Wouldn't you want it to be easier for normies to come in and get educated without being such an upfront investment? These conferences aren't made for that, is exactly what's happening right now.
That's exactly it, right? It's like again, there's two primary reasons why these conferences should exist. That's one of them. They're not doing either one well, though. They're definitely not setting it up to actually bring in and onboard a bunch of new people successfully, which again, why then are you there? You're not providing that value back into the space. You are extracting value from it, trying to get people to pay you outlandish ticket prices to come and see a bunch of poorly curated, panels. I don't think it's a good model. But yeah.
Some photos, I think someone was bringing up, is that W1 curates? I'm probably saying that wrong. But these are just some examples of the satellite events that you were talking about, GIF, that were happening at the same time. So again, this was apparently a good week to go and, network with people, meet people who you've only known through Web3 and Discords and Twitter for a while. It looks like there were some good satellite events. This looks dope. This looks like on par with NFT NYC, to be honest, when it comes to the satellite events. So it looks sick. But again, it's two different conversations, right? It's like, how can we get better from a conference perspective?
Yeah, that wasn't at the conference. That's all satellite events. So again, that is honestly the redeeming value right now of these big conferences, is that at least they aggregate a lot of people in the same city at the same time. And so there's opportunities for them to create their own culture, create their own experiences, and the network. And so, yeah, that's what we heard, right? A lot of people still had a good time, even if the conference was not very well organized.
Love it. Love it. All right. That was a great combo. Thank you for joining. And Prodigy, you did make it on the screen. Donar saying the attention dollars you're competing for are rare right now. Timing is everything, which I think encapsulates a lot of what we're saying as well. So we'll move on to quick news. And I want to really preface this with, I'm going to try to make quick news quick. Usually we get caught up in like a 30-minute quick news segment. So I'm going to try to fly through this. Okay. So the first quick news piece. Beeple is, this is by Decrypt, by the way. Beeple is bringing immersive 3D NFTs to Solana. Basically, obviously, that's the story. Beeple, Solana, money. Beeple, Solana, money. There's everything happening until we see Beeple come back and say, this is definitely not happening. I was in super preliminary talks with nothing remotely set or agreed upon. It got spun up into this. Come on, Decrypt, at least reach out for a quote. And I want to just really wrap that quick news piece up with, like, can we get better reporting? We already had this issue with NFT Evening last week. Decrypt, come on, let's do better. Let's do better as a publication in this space. I know what we're getting on the super FUD this week with the news, but please just do a little bit better. No people on Solana.
It's not happening.
Not yet. Apparently, it's preliminary talks, people says.
So the question that I was going to raise anyway is getting into the whole FTX situation and fiasco there, because like one of the most bullish arguments that I've heard people making about why Solana deserves to be a top 10 chain and will be here and is a good place to build is its connection to FTX and the backing and those partnerships. I don't know how closely, Q, you've been paying attention to what's going on. So it seems like there's questions about insolvency with FTX. And if so, to me, that's very, very bad news for Solana, because it sounds like a lot of the issue there is that, you know, they've done this flywheel similar to what a lot of the other companies that already went bankrupt and insolvent did. And a lot of their liquidity and value that they've sold to other people is in their own tokens and in these Solana backed tokens that are basically illiquid.
So definitely want to get into FTX. I know someone was mentioning earlier if we're going to cover the FTX versus Binance, which essentially that is what's happening. Binance and CZ, I murdered his full name, so I'm just going to call him CZ for now. The CEO of Binance, CEO and co-founder of Binance, came out and was like calling out and basically starting this like negative spiral effect for FTX. We're going to touch on that here in a second. But I just wanted to hit this quick news, and then we can jump directly into FTX and that Binance news, because it has more of a far-reaching effect than I think you even mentioned there, man. Because if FTX is dealing with the issues there, we're all fucked. We're all like fucked. At least short term.
But like especially Solana. Like I don't think Ethereum is necessarily going to disappear because FTX does. I don't think Bitcoin is going to necessarily disappear because FTX goes insolvent. Solana might actually be seriously damaged, though. From what I know, look, I'm not an expert on Solana or FTX. That's just what I've been picking up. That there's a lot of connectivity there, a lot of reliance, maybe even between Solana and FTX to an extent, and yeah, obviously FTX will impact the whole ecosystem, but Solana heavily. I think Solana especially, though. Do you think that's wrong?
No, I don't think it's wrong. I just think my initial statement was basically like, if FTX is insolvent, that would be like Coinbase being insolvent. And it is. Is
it on the same level?
It is. I'm telling you, I would love to see the volume between FTX and Coinbase at this point. Since last cycle, FTX has really, really carved out a hefty size and share of the market when it comes to the marketplace. If someone could look that up, I can look it up as well. But it would be to the level, I think, of a Coinbase. But I'm happy to be proven wrong as well.
So I think the issue and why I am a little bit skeptical is because, again, what I've been seeing, somebody please share any information and correct me where I'm wrong, but it seems like a lot of what they've been doing is this flywheeling and pumping their own stock, basically. Like the FTT, I believe, is the FTX token.
So here's the volume. So FTX is over.
Dude,
over for Coinbase.
Shit.
I think a lot of this has to do with Coinbase being a very retail-focused trading exchange and spot exchange, whereas FTX, I think, has positioned itself from the beginning for these like large whale players and major entities.
Yeah. So to your initial point, if FTX goes under, like, it's fucking massive.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Maybe Coinbase has more of like the retail interest because of that first mover advantage, because they were around, in that first cycle. FTX really wasn't around in 16, 17 when Bitcoin had that first run. And they're not really focused on retail traders, although they're trying to be. Like everything is sponsored by FTX. The refs in the World Series were sponsored by FTX. There's stadium names that have FTX on them. So they're trying to get the name out, but I think most people, like your aunt probably knows Coinbase before FTX.
How long is Crypto.com Stadium going to remain Crypto.com Stadium?
I don't know, but Matt Damon's not going to come on for another commercial in a long time.
Whew.
I think Matt Damon marked the top. That commercial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read off some comments and then we'll finish up the quick news and get directly into FTX and Binance. Paxmark saying I was invested in Solana and I'm almost 100% out at this time. Paxmark saying insolvency maybe, but also SBF, all the support he had from the community in Solana is very shaky. Time is saying, yep, this is interesting. Will be epic if true. Easy and Crypto's in the house with the OVOT. And Time is saying it will be something we will be talking about for a long time, just like POS. Okay. We're going to get into it. Prodigy saying League of Legends esports team with FTX. So quick news real quick. I'm going to just get, this is speed running through the news. Utes revealed gift. Give me your take. These look good. These look bad. What do we got?
I think they're good-ish. Like I don't know. I honestly, I've kind of stayed away from them mostly because again, I don't like any team that kind of focuses on trolling their own community and courting drama. So I don't know. I have my own kind of like personal biases, but I think the art is good. It's fine.
It's a little too close to Bored Ape for me. I know they're like try to be the yacht club, but
it is a Bored Ape. Yeah, to me it is a Bored Ape derivative. I think that's a good way of putting it. It feels at this point where we're at in the market with PFPs, with NFTs, that this is very derivative.
Okay.
And it is what it is. So it just doesn't get me that excited. It doesn't feel new or interesting. I'm not like, oh, holy shit, that's a game changer. I gotta fucking go get a Ute.
Prodigy saying basic as fuck, in my opinion. I think we're there. Easy and Crypto saying ready for a new style of PFP. Yes, please innovate, change the game when it comes to PFPs. Don't release this bull. I'm not going to call it bullshit. I would say it just didn't move the needle.
It feels clean, and it feels like the execution was good. But is it interesting or innovative, or am I like, oh wow, this is something new that I have to fucking get a Ute for? Nah.
All right,
dude, I'm gonna keep my ape. How about that? I'm gonna keep my ape.
I'm keeping my ape. I am keeping. We're like on a 3-day countdown. Hold on. I'm looking this shit
There's
up.
still a few days left, Q. Don't be too sure.
Watching them pull something out of their ass. Like if
Famous
you buy
last words.
If you buy an art gobblers, you will get featured on Rick and Morty, and the shit just goes to like 12 right before. Anyways, we're sitting at a 5.7 on art gobblers. Not sure where the goo token is at. Obviously, we went up to like, I think at the height of it, 20 something. I think it was even higher than this. It was like 22.
It was like 22, 20. It was ridiculous. We were like live when that was happening. We're like, what the? We're like talking about it like this is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's now half of the 12 ETH Bored Ape bet gamble floor that you're in on. So you're looking pretty good. I will give you that.
I don't know how I got tied into a bet with no upside. There's like all the downside, no upside.
I don't know either, Q. I don't know. How did you do that?
Got myself in a kerfluffle. All right, next quick news piece. SuperRare announces its new NFT collector pass, Rare Pass. So SuperRare's doing this thing, I guess, where they're going to have super rare passes up to, and let me make sure I get it right, 250 passes, and you're basically going to get monthly airdrops, 1 per month or 3 distributions per month from 12 artists, including Carlos Masrial, Coldy, Helena, Krista, Matt Kane. I know half of these, but I know Robness, X copies in there as well. So this is going to drop on November 15th at 10 a.m. There's going to be a Dutch auction after a initial winning bid on one of these. Again, there's going to be 250 or 208 available at the Dutch auction. Furthermore, the price of the pass will decrease every 15 minutes. Love a good Dutch auction. Love a good always creates a little bit of little angst. Some people like it, some people don't. But again, this is going to be SuperRare launching what essentially is like a membership pass for monthly drops from those specific artists. Any thoughts, Gif?
It's interesting. Okay, I'll say this. I'm going to be very interested to watch it and see how it does, like how much people are willing to pay for this type of access token, exclusive airdrop model. I do actually really like that a platform is trying to create something very, very exclusive, scarce, valuable, because they can do something like this, and I feel like not enough people focus on the scarcity and creating truly, truly valuable experiences to the collectors. So I'm actually excited. I think it's cool. That said, I'm a little bit. It doesn't really alleviate my concerns about Rarible as a marketplace and their core business. Sorry. Oh, it's SuperRare. Sorry. For some reason, I thought it was Rarible. Okay, never mind. So, for SuperRare, this makes more sense than for Rarible. And then, yeah, I think it's interesting and I think it's cool. And I'm excited to see how it goes.
All right.
My previous statements stand.
I saved Gift from going off the end on Rarible there, man. But yeah, great take there. I will move on to our last piece here, which is, and let me make sure I get the right one. So I accidentally have the actual document from the SEC on LBRY. So if you guys don't know, LBRY was a platform that was essentially the Web3 version of YouTube. You could actually, and we got approached by them early on to actually syndicate our content there, right? So you could actually just have a YouTube piece like we're doing today, and about less than 24 hours later, it'd be on LBRY. You actually earn tokens for watching. The individual earns, the channel earns tokens, and it's all around this LBRY token, this LBRY token. Well, apparently, and I want to make sure I get the right article, so give me just a sec, guys. LBRY token got found to be a security. So there's a lot that comes around that. Let me make sure I got the right one. But essentially, LBRY is kind of on a full court press to kind of get the community involved in saying this actually makes it so all of crypto is essentially a security. So the full ruling in the SEC and LBRY case can be read here. The language used here sets extraordinary dangerous precedent that makes every cryptocurrency in the U.S. a security, including Ethereum. So a big FUD piece there from the SEC and LBRY. I don't know what's going to happen with the LBRY platform. I'm not big on social media Web3 pieces. I know you got, like, eventually they will exist. I'm just not confident that it's going to come from inside and be an organic network. It's going to come from the Reddits. It's going to come from the Twitters, all these pieces going towards Web3 rather than like we're going to compete with YouTube. Just has never been a big business model for me, thinking that they're going to have any success, but definitely a stumbling point. We'll see where they go from here. Any LBRY takes? You don't want to get the SEC on blast here while we're recorded?
I think as a case study or an example to look at, I think it is useful, but assuming that every cryptocurrency and everything that's been done in the space is automatically security may be a bit of a reach. We're going to find out, though, soon enough. I think the fact that, there's letters like this going out means that this shit's happening. Like, the regulation's coming. People are being made an example of. We're probably going to see, we're going to see a lot more of this. The precedents need to be set, and that's going to take years.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be super reactive to shit like this, because I think it's they're obviously also feeling the pain and going to spin their own narrative around that right now. It sucks. It sucks for them. Anybody that bought into their platform, that invested there, it sucks. So I'll say that much. And yeah, I do think that there's going to be a lot of projects that do similar things with tokens that are probably going to get labeled as securities. We were talking on the show to a like Film 3 company that's trying to tokenize IP, like entertainment, TV shows, films, etc. And they're offering different types of rewards, and that's one of the major concerns with them. I think their name was Moonshots or Moonbeams. It was a really interesting combo, but basically they're saying, well, there's certain types of, we've got multiple models and we have to be careful jurisdictionally, like which countries we allow certain models in, because those will be securities, but these won't, or they won't, like we can do tokens in this way and different in this country. So it's like some of it's going to get really complicated and nuanced as well. And I don't know.
I'm gonna link
that's where I'm at.
I'm gonna link the tweet as well, as within that tweet there is also the link to the actual ruling by the SEC, so you can read through that if you're super into diving deep there. But yeah, we will be following that. Please leave a like if you are here watching us create content on Web3 and NFTs. It definitely helps get it out to the rest of the world as we proliferate our ideas into the nether. But we will continue. Was that good enough? I'm trying to work on my CTAs here. Proliferate ideas into the nether. If that doesn't get you to click, I don't know what.
Bro, I thought it was too wordy. It was wordy as fuck. Like just like the video. Leave a like. Smash it. Smash the like. Hit the bell. Let your homies know. Fuck yeah. Support the channel. We appreciate you. If you've been hanging out watching several of our videos and you haven't subscribed yet, you're a fucking rug. Bar none, like hands down, you're a fucking rug. If you're here enjoying the content, we got beef. If you are not subscribed, I don't know, man. Just that's it. Let's be straight up.
All right, I see a bunch of y'all's comments here. Don R saying our biggest threat is the middlemen we're looking to eliminate that made their wealth from double spending, and they have massive influence in the SEC and Gov. Lander saying what does that mean for XRP? Here's my big takeaway from that story is like, why LBRY? Like I get XRP. XRP was one of the largest cryptocurrency tokens at the time. One of the largest entities. It was like a clear Ponzi pyramid. I wouldn't call it a Ponzi. Call it a pyramid scheme with the Ripple token, XRP. And it's like, I get that, but why LBRY? Like, why did LBRY come under the specific target of the SEC there?
That's a really good question. And if anybody has any insight, please let us know in the comments. I'm assuming it's because there was certain types of transactions and marketing and promises and tokenomics that they were offering that were just like, they're just like, no, we can't be letting you do that. But usually the SEC also goes after scale and like act like if there's a lot of money. I don't know how big LBRY was. I don't know how much money was involved there. Obviously I wasn't in on it. But if they were at meaningful volume and scale and there was a lot of money there, that's also why they would have a target on them.
Okay. I am hesitant I mean, we're going to get into the story. This is FTX. This is Binance. We also have OpenSea Royalties that we need to hit.
Can I throw one other theory out there?
What's up?
So I'm sure all of y'all have seen whenever you're like going to watch a film or a movie, at the front, it says very clearly that, the DMCA language, you cannot replicate this or steal this, pirating. You've seen what happens with music and how, the whole Napster thing got shut down and all this stuff. The entertainment industry has a massive lobby that protects content and the way that they do their business. And so I would not be surprised if they are looking at this saying, yo, this whole NFT thing is really threatening our existing business model. And so they might be pushing politicians on what are the specific industries or topics that they're threatened by. Whatever lobbies are out there, like looking at all this new technology saying like, we don't have our shit together yet. Like Disney hasn't figured out their shit. YouTube hasn't figured out their shit. So like we need to try and shut this shit down before it threatens the status quo of how content is distributed and monetized, because that's where all of our money goes. And that's how you politicians are getting the money that you need for your campaigns. So if I'm going to be a conspiracy theorist, I also wouldn't be surprised if entertainment lobbyists or something like that is looking at this and pushing on these specific topics.
Yeah, and that might be a reason why they go after LBRY here, right? Like that might be something that they saw very clearly. It's like there's competing content here with YouTube, and they're actually rewarding people for watching the same content. So there's a lot of actual create this. You know who this hurts the most is that there's a lot of creators that specifically create content on this platform. Like they choose specifically. Like Steemit was another great example when Steemit had that Justin Sun Tron like takeover. So Justin Sun essentially bought Steemit, and it was like at the time one of the better blog posts. I would say it's like a Reddit almost of the Web3 industry right there. There were a lot of creators that were hurt in that situation, which is going to happen with LBRY. Like if you created content primarily on LBRY, I wonder where it goes. Hopefully it's just that the token gets taken away and that the platform continues to exist. Otherwise, that's kind of where we're at. Okay, we're going to get to this Binance piece, this FTX piece here. Tough to know where to start, but the best place I think you should probably start when it comes to this story is this tweet thread by a guy named Braylo. So I'm going to drop it here in chat if you want to kind of follow along as we go through this thread in real time. But if I had to TLDR what is happening here is FTX, again, is one of the largest exchanges.
Q, while you do that, I got to run and grab something on my door. I'll be back in 2 seconds. So you hit that. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
I'm gonna completely I'm going full screen here, boys. I'm going full screen here. Good to see you guys here today. My pretty face. Thank you. Anyways, FTX, Alameda Research. These are two sister companies owned by SBF. So Sam Bankman-Fried. If I use SBF, it means I'm talking about the founder there. So they have a interesting relationship. They both essentially claim the capital within both companies. So it's like an umbrella here. So Alameda Research essentially claims the FTX assets, essentially. So here's what we have. Alameda documents were privately reviewed and showed $14.6 billion in assets, but a lot of this has to do with the FTX token. So like Binance specifically, there is a utility token attached to FTX. I'm not sure if that's the actual stable coin or if that is the utility token of FTX. Anyways, what you have here is Binance coming out attacking FTX with a clear kind of shot over the bow, saying as part of Binance's exit from FTX equity last year, Binance received roughly 2.1 billion USD equivalent in cash. Due to recent revelations that have came to light, we have decided to liquidate any remaining FTT on our books. Now, I need to see, I think they have the actual amount that CZ is basically saying, I'm coming in to liquidate your tokens in the realm of billions of dollars. And we're doing this because you have shady things happening on your books. That's basically what's happening here. So again, CZ is coming in here. Oh, hey, GIF. CZ is coming in here saying, we don't like the way that your books are being, privately held and not, shown to the public. We don't know if you're insolvent or not. So we're selling all of these assets. Now, CZ has a good reason to be doing this. They're obviously a competitor, Binance being one of those in the top 5 exchanges in the entire world. So for him to say, we don't like what's happening on books, we think you're insolvent, and then causing kind of a run on FTT assets in general. So the token, people that are in that token, they're kind of fleeing the exchange. No one wants to have money in a exchange there and maybe cause a Mt. Gox scenario where you don't see your money for 10 years. So it's incredibly nuanced in a way, but it's also very simple. CZ basically called out SBF and FTX saying, you guys are insolvent. And SBF comes back and says, we're not insolvent. You're an asshole. Thanks for causing a run on all of our shit. But at the end of the day, it comes down to having transparent books and allowing people to see in a very same way as like Tether kind of operated for a long time without people knowing if they're insolvent or not, if they have the money in a bank account or any type of account. That's what's happening here is people don't know. They saw CZ called SBF out, and therefore everyone's removing money and therefore decreasing the price in the FTX token. So I'm going to show that price chart, but GIF, I want to get your take as well in here. Hopefully I at least started that conversation for us as it comes to FTX and what's happening there.
I think you covered it magnificently, Q. Y'all, give a thumbs up for Q and all of his amazing analysis up in here. look, I kind of already shared my opinion on it. Like I've only done a very peripheral sort of look into this, and I think you already covered a lot of what I know. It does make me worry to your earlier point about the space at large because like I'm looking at this like is this what capitulation is? Like there's already been a lot of capitulation, but is this going to be the ultimate capitulation? One of the biggest marketplaces going insolvent now too. Is that going to be when the bear market really finds its bottom, or will that, cause a whole nother spiral? So I think if FTX is indeed insolvent, it's very, very bad for the space. I'm not saying they are. I don't know enough to tell, but it does look like, from what I can tell, that's similar to a lot of these other investment companies, venture companies, platforms that have already gone bankrupt. They've been doing a lot of the same shit. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes me really worried is that like if they've been doing a lot of this sort of like Ponzi-nomics or like flywheeling and like spinning off different things and pumping their own tokens and then showing that to investors to like get them to buy in, like that's all Ponzi-nomics. Mm-hmm. That's all Ponzi-nomics. And okay. if a bunch of what FTX is basically built on Ponzi-nomics, then like that is
the question. I think what's happening here with the FTT token, for an example, like if you want to get access to more features on the actual like trading platform, you're buying FTT tokens. So I don't think there's like a Ponzi level of what's happening here. It's whether they have the amount of money on the books that they say they have. That's what CZ I think is doing. So I'll give you another example. A lot of what they claimed as being assets under that company is actually due to the price appreciation in the FTT token, or the price decreasing by half could send the company into bankruptcy, essentially. Well, so that's what a CZ
That's what I mean. Yeah. So they're claiming this value based upon their own tokens that are illiquid.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like
what do you mean illiquid? What do you mean illiquid?
Because they can't actually liquidate them without tanking their own company. Like they're basically locked up. So they've got this is my understanding. Again, if there's somebody who's an expert in DeFi and FTX, please correct me. Share some links. We're trying to understand what's going on here the best that we can. But it looks like a lot of their value, like you just said, Q, is in their own tokens and a lot of these other Solana-based tokens that are basically built off of their own tokens. And so they're like spinning these things off and showing all this value on books, but like they can't actually liquidate any of that. Mm-hmm. It's basically illiquid, right? They own a bunch of their own tokens and they're saying that they've got all this value, but it's all magic internet money, right? So it's like if you're trying to like just get a bunch of people to buy into this idea that you've got all this value, all this, all this money, but it's basically you're just holding a bunch of your own token that you can't even really sell. It's like,
well, it could move your company's assets from 15 billion, which was what was reported, to 7, 6, 5 billion, which is an incredible loss amount of money. The one story here is how CZ got this many FTT tokens, and I think it's because they funded initial rounds for FTX when FTX was first starting to grow. They have $2.3 billion in FTT tokens. Like could be looked at in a devil's advocate approach of like not a vampire attack. Those are kind of the sushi swap, creating the same platform and offering tokens, all that stuff. But it is in some way like some type of like nefarious activity of being like, we own 2% of your total supply, circulating supply. We're a competitor. So we're going to start this bank run on you. And that's where I'm like, CZ, why are we doing this? Like the market is so... Well, yeah, he sees it as an opportunity. It's like a hostile takeover in a way. It's
cannibalism. It's the industry eating itself.
Yeah. And the rumor is becoming true, right? Like if you have a situation where FTT is completely fine, FTX is completely fine, but CZ says, we at this time don't know if they're insolvent, and they put a lot of value on their books, and therefore everyone's like, wait, what do you mean? I'm going to start taking money out of my at the FTX exchange. I'm going to start selling my FTT tokens. Then it becomes true. then it becomes true. Because then the token completely like has gone down 20%. And what if the insolvency rumors aren't true? And you still have this like this
If the
negative
insolvency
impact.
rumors, aren't true, then it'll just be a short-term negative impact for a couple of months or something, and they'll be able to prove it wrong and bounce back. So yeah, it's bullshit that people can manipulate markets and cause runoffs by spreading shit online. But like, this is the world that we fucking live in now. It's absurd.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's got to be some kind of accountability both ways. I think hopefully if it gets proven out that like this is kind of nonsense, that that there's some kind of I don't know, retribution, or that people point out and hold CZ accountable and Binance accountable for their shit. But look, this is the world we live in, man. It's scary. It's scary out here. It does feel a little bit ironic. Like, I guess the argument for why he's doing this online in the public way that he is transparency. It's like, look, we're just being transparent. We're just telling people why we're doing what we're doing, and like, don't worry, it'll be over a couple months. But you could be transparent in other ways, like through your holdings reports, your investor reports. You don't have to go on Twitter and fucking say, "Yo, we're selling billions of dollars," because like, and so that's to me where it feels a little bit hollow when he says like, people like, this isn't about competition. This isn't competition. Like, obviously not. Well, it's like, okay, why you got to go on Twitter then? You know what I mean? It's like, why don't you just do it? Just start your plans and then communicate that in your investor briefings or like on your website. You don't have to put them on fucking blast.
Yep. I agree completely. For those of you that are just tuning in, we're covering FTX and essentially Binance at war with each other, SBF and CZ. CZ basically coming out and firing the first shot, basically saying that SBF is relying way too much on FTT. We are not sure about their books, and therefore we're going to sell I don't know the exact amount. They said that they got $2.1 billion in FTT token. I don't know if that's today's value, if that was at the time that they were investing. But they have a shit ton of FTT tokens, basically tokens of a competitor. And therefore, he's saying we're going to sell a bunch of this. And therefore, the market basically moved accordingly. Everyone's like, fuck, I'm going to sell my FTT before I get dumped on by CZ. There's a couple. We're going through this like tweet, which I linked earlier if you want to follow up. Why this is important to you, if you're watching at home, or if you're listening. If FTX is insolvent and SBF is coming out and saying no, I love all the acronyms that we have here that we're using. But if FTX is insolvent, that's really, 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 really bad for the state of the market where we're at right now. We're already in a bear market. We've already obviously come to grips with that. If this happens during a bear, it'd be like if Coinbase went insolvent. It's the
final capitulation.
True.
Maybe.
It might increase the bear for another year.
It might. But I think again, like one of the kind of unfortunate issues with a lot of where we're at right now is the cult of personality leaders, that like all these leaders on Twitter are basically like egos too. So like, again, it's like, I find it very hard to believe that there isn't some kind of like personal vendetta or something else happening here, because again, if it's just business, you don't have to go blast people like this on Twitter. You don't have to do that. But it's like, yo, I'm going to get more clout and I'm going to fucking take a shot at somebody and make a fucking run on his fucking tokens. He must know there's going to be that type of react. Like, you can't not know that this is going to have some kind of impact on their bottom line and hurt their business. So I don't know. It feels very cannibalistic. It feels like there's a lot of ego driving this shit. And what are you going to do about that? I don't know. Try and do DYOR, understand it more. I don't know, man. It's a lot. So a lot of people are speculating that it's around SBF's comments on like welcoming regulation, like U.S. regulation. And again, like, it feels like there's some kind of personal vendetta, or there's something that happened between the two.
Yeah, definitely.
That made him act out on Twitter like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with those statements. I think, we don't know everything that happens in public discourse. We can see, but we don't know what happens behind the scenes. I mean, they could be, talking mad smack behind the scenes, and just the fact that CZ came out on Twitter and decided to put him on blast. The one thing I will say is SBF had a huge run in this past 3 years. Like, he was essentially, FTX was not a thing in the last cycle. FTX was not even a large exchange in 2018, 17.
Yeah, and now they're number 2 to Binance. So maybe Binance is like, yo, let's check these motherfuckers.
I think that's a little bit of what's happening, because SBF has had this massive run. Basically SBF feels untouchable, and I think CZ might be seeing that. So we're pontificating a lot.
I bet. Okay, here again. We're gonna speculate. We're gonna speculate.
Hold on, wait.
Hot takes here.
Hot take alert.
So, it's nice in here. I feel warm and fuzzy. This is actually dulling my hot take. I feel less hot and bothered now. I feel coddled and safe. All right, look, I bet. So Binance is a Chinese company, right? Or where are they based? They're somewhere in Asia.
I think there's been a lot of speculation. I think Binance isn't necessarily really associated with China, just because CZ for a long time is known.
Crypto,
I can't be nationalized. I don't want to be nationalized by Z.
So he doesn't want to be nationalized. So I bet not only is FTX now the closest competitor that basically Binance helped build, but if they're now feeling threatened on multiple fronts, not just in terms of their market cap and transaction volume and user base, but also in terms of the regulatory front, where they're saying yo, we already escaped China. We're trying not to be nationalized. And we're this, Eastern, this is our philosophy and where we're from. And SBF is over here, basically saying, we want to partner with or collaborate with the US government on how regulations look and become the partnered marketplace with the US government. It's
yeah.
This is there's layers of why Binance would feel threatened then. And so that makes the most sense to me of why you would go put them on blast on Twitter like that, is because you're feeling threatened somehow. And there's an existential crisis here. There's an existential reason why I think he's going out there and doing this, because otherwise I don't think you need to do it like that.
I love that entire breakdown, and I think we are kind of getting into conspiracy theory levels, but I don't think it's that far off of a reach to say that there's some bullshit going on behind the scenes. Just a little bit more context for you guys following the story, and I think these are important to kind of add. So I think Caroline, I need to get her last name, but the CEO essentially of Alameda Research came out and basically said, hey, we'll buy these from you OTC. Which, for those of you at home, that basically means you don't sell these on the market so that it affects the price. We'll buy it a little bit under in bulk, under the price in bulk. So probably 10%, 20% usually below what the market price is at that time. They'll buy in bulk. So $2 billion, which is a positive, a bullish indicator. If you look at it from, if you're a supporter of Alameda Research and FTX, you say, okay, they can buy $2 billion worth of assets. They clearly aren't insolvent. So they came out and said, hey, we'll buy this off of you so that you don't tank our fucking token price and cause us to go into a spiral. The other pieces are they did move some money around. So FTX is moving $56 million from Circle into FTX, meaning what they're trying to get at here is FTX is trying to remain solvent and pay people out. So if you are on FTX and you want your $1,000, 3, 4, 5, 6 figure deposit or withdrawal, they have to continuously up the supply in their reserves. So they're saying, liquidity. Look at this money. Liquidity. They have sent it. Liquidity essentially. 257 mil in the last 24 hours have moved into FTX. So that's the devil's advocate from that side would be, they weren't solvent. They didn't have this money already in there. They're quickly moving money into the exchange because they weren't solvent. So great points. Paxmark's coming in with some crazy good alpha as well. I hesitate to call it alpha. Good info. Good gamma. I don't know what I want to call it, but is saying that there was a feud between SBF and Eric Voorhees. Eric Voorhees, the founder of MetaMask, not MetaMask, Shapeshift. Really, early on cypherpunk. Speaking of conventions and conferences, he was at those early conferences in like 2011, 12. Some crazy funny photos from those conferences when there was like 12 people interested in the space. Eric being one of them. I think I think we covered it. I appreciate everybody kind of getting involved there, seeing a lot of good comments, especially from Paxmark. Donna R, we see you. But yeah, we'll monitor it. Hopefully, again, FTX isn't insolvent. That's the worst case scenario. Is it comes out that they're somehow insolvent. It sucks to see the industry players going after each other in a bear market. From a user perspective, from an investor perspective, you don't want to see it. We want to see positive bullish news, not infighting that causes the bear to last another year.
We're moving into the cannibalism meta.
Love to see it.
No bueno.
All right.
I don't love to see it. What do you mean? No, this is not love to see it, Q. You love to see the cannibalism? Is that what you're telling me, Q?
Listen, I've been watching Jeffrey Dahmer, so I've been getting a little bit, I don't know, kind of interested. Before I say anything else, I have to move on.
Okay, I have a hot take on that, but maybe I should save it for GM Web 3.
Okay, yeah, save it for. Well, what the hell? NFT Live gets some good takes.
Because I want Mo Runda and Jessica Yatrovsky to be able to respond. So maybe tomorrow. By the way, we're gonna have special guest Jessica Yatrovsky, the one, the only, world-renowned photographer, poet, artist, talking about her I Heart Girl drop on Coinbase. Not on OpenSea. It's on Coinbase. She's going to be on the show tomorrow. She's coming on tomorrow. So, like the video, subscribe. You don't want to miss it. We're very excited for her. She's amazing. And yeah, so maybe I'll save it for her. But
okay.
I found out about, let's just say there's some research into my question about like, what is it with women being attracted to good-looking serial killers? Like, what is this obsession with women and like, true crime and like, good-looking guys that are fucking serial killers? There's something there, and I found out about some recent research.
You cracked the code.
I don't know if I cracked the code, but
Gibson is conspiracy bag. Gibson is conspiracy bag today. It's the Tau milk. All right, we're gonna. This is the story that is like. I mean, we're at about an hour and 10 minutes in. Appreciate you guys joining us for the whole show. We know you guys are here for the entirety of us talking about the space. This is one that is gonna cause a little ruffle, cause a little hot take. We have OpenSea introducing optional creator royalties, and I'm gonna run for the hills while Gifted gives his take. Essentially, every single marketplace in NFTs at this point has gotten into the optional royalties game. It's been a race to the bottom, as we kind of predicted in the beginning with these marketplaces. One does it, then another, and now we're finally at a situation where OpenSea is now moving to optional creator royalties. They say they're going to get into more features that the community wants here in the future, but essentially on a Saturday when no one is on Twitter, they are coming to us saying that we're going to actually add optional royalties now. So what do you think, Gif? What do we got?
I mean, well, right there on what you're just showing, it looks like they're working on some kind of enforceable tech like solution option. I mean, honestly, man, it seems like the best we can hope for is that we can innovate and create solutions to the problem, because we have to find a way to protect artists and that artists get paid. Otherwise, literally, like, what the fuck are we doing here? If you don't have awesome artists, awesome creators, like, you've literally just got a bunch of shit coins. Like, that's all this space is going to be then. Like, if this isn't a place that artists want to come and build and create really cool, awesome shit, then, like, why are we here? And so I don't know, man. Honestly, this whole thing is a little bit exhausting, and it's the type of shit that actually, like there's so much fun and, like, nonsense in the space all day, every day. But it's this is the thing that makes me want to, like, say fuck it and, like, pack up my bags and leave. Because if we're basically just saying, like, yeah, capitalism over everything. Traders win. Fuck the artists. They don't really matter. Um,
Yeah.
dude, like I can just go into Web 2 and fucking do the same shit. I don't have to be going through all of this. I don't have to be caring this much about any of this shit. Like I care because I want to create new paradigms and empower artists and empower communities and like create new ways of distributing wealth and creating generational wealth and value, capturing more value from the creative perspective for the communities to be building. Like that's why I'm fucking here, man. And if OpenSea, the biggest fucking marketplace, is just like, well, it's the traders for us, like, fuck them, like straight up. Like
Yeah.
my honest response is fuck you, OpenSea, fuck Magic Eden, fuck. I mean, even Blur, like Blur's trying to do like, well, it's optional too, but fuck all y'all for basically betraying the creators and the artists who've been building the space, who came here to build a life or something different for themselves, try and create value, build a community, because you're basically kneecapping all of them and saying that they matter less than the traders and that capitalism rules everything. And that doesn't feel new. That doesn't feel Web3. That feels Web2.
Yeah.
So fuck all y'all marketplaces right now. Y'all are all fucking pussies. Like, you want my hot take? Like real talk. Like y'all have zero fucking ethics or morals. Yeah, it feels better. You have zero ethics and morals. All you fucking care about is money. At the end of the day, it's the competition and the transactions, and you're not willing to take a stand because business over artists. So I don't know. Again,
they have taken their
that's
stand. It's
take.
just not. Yeah, they took their stand on the other side. But yes, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is it does feel like we're moving very, very quickly into an environment where there's going to be on-chain execution of these fees, of these royalties, right?
Yeah.
Like it does. Like we started talking about this 3 months ago. Maybe even less. Like NFT Web3 time is incredibly different. So I don't know when the first conversation around Magic Eden doing this on-chain royalties was, or off-chain royalties and optional royalties, all these things. But it feels like we've moved very quickly to the point where even OpenSea is like, we're going to do these executions of on-chain royalties for new collections. So that was some context as well. I can pull it up here. Today, we're launching a tool for on-chain enforcement of creator fees for new collections. That's a very, very important quote unquote. There's a shit ton of collections.
New collections. So everybody that's been building the space is basically fucked until they figure that out. So again, I want to give credit where credit's due. OpenSea did not just like rush out there with the hype around like 0% royalties and fucking be like, we're going 0%. Like, they didn't do that. They obviously, this has been a big conversation point. It does affect their bottom line, their business. So I want to try and be as understanding as I can. They are working on some kind of solution, it appears. It just, at the end of the day, man, I feel like you can take a stand either way, and they're obviously saying that they are capitulating. Like, you want to talk about capitulation? This is capitulation. OpenSea is capitulating to market forces and capitalism over having any sort of their own value system, new value system supporting artists first. To me, this space should be artists first. You should be empowering creators first. Those are the people that created all the fucking value. It's not like, believe it or not, you wouldn't have fucking traders if you didn't have amazing fucking projects. You might have some shit coins, have some pump and dumps, and like there might be some kind of volume. But if you didn't have amazing artists launching projects into your ecosystem, you wouldn't have dick. So I don't know, man. It just feels like, again, as has been the story in Web2 and history beyond and before, artists they're expendable. They're treated as expendable. Artists are not treated with respect. They are not valued properly. Creators and builders that are actually doing the work should be able to rely upon marketplaces to protect them and empower them. And right now they cannot. It feels like a massive loss to me. And I'm looking for the people that actually are trying to empower creators, empower communities.
The instant that we started having rails for people to actively trade these NFTs and like enter that DeFi NFT synergy that we were pontificating about for like years and years and years, and then we started to get it, we started to see this trend where fees started to go away, because essentially that royalty was a fee on a trader. Like that's basically how the traders look at it. They're saying we're paying a fee to trade on this platform, and we don't want that. And so we're going to go wherever that is not happening. X2, Y2 being an example, I think didn't have any like, I forgot which fee they were taking away. But they essentially like had these features that allow traders to actively participate and not have to pay these fees. So we are at this intersection, it's felt like, for the last month, where traders and creators, or traders and artists, or whatever versus you want to say, has been coming to a head for a long time. And we see OpenSea finally capitulating there with the optional royalties. This is a chart showing the NFT market volume on Ethereum. So as you can see, OpenSea's started to lose a little bit of market share. This is like overall volume. So overall volume from back in August is down, but you can see LBRY is definitely at a better competition point than it was in August 9th, 2 or 3 months ago. So that's where we stand today. OpenSea is losing more and more market share. Blur is not even a part of this list at this point. So we can't even really see where Blur is. We really just see an outsized performance by LBRY. But yeah, I mean, it might be in response to, hey, we need to make sure that we're having volume on our platform.
Yeah, like Paxmark said, OpenSea saw everyone running to Blur or LBRY or other competitor there for the optional royalties, and they felt forced. That's absolutely what it is. It's a business decision. It's money over morals. That's what it is, and it's just unfortunate. It is what it is, man. It's fucking life. But I'm going to be looking for people that are finding ways to innovate and empower creators, and not just sell out the artists and the creators when it makes sense for them.
Yeah, and Immutable enforces NFT royalty fees on Ethereum to support creators. Here's an example, right? We have
Let's fucking go Immutable.
So
fuck yeah,
they're coming out on chain and saying that's what we're doing, which is, again, the responses that we've seen from the community actually have an impact, because this is what we're getting from now the platforms. Is like they hear what we're saying. So it's not just me and Giff sitting up here and like just talking about royalties all the time. Like it's important. I don't mean to be like stepping up on a soapbox saying like we're making like all of these claims and pushing the space forward, but these are why the conversations are important, because we already see OpenSea saying, "Oh shit, we need to do this for new collections now. How do we get it on old collections?"
Side note: Didn't the Utes or DeGods or whoever said they were going, like, literally fucking front ran and colluded with Magic Eden on the zero? Didn't they go back to 3.3% royalties? Did you see that?
No.
Somebody, if you can find that, drop it in the chat. I saw something about it. I could be wrong. I don't want to be spreading misinformation and lies here, but I saw something about Utes or DeGods after saying they were going 0% royalties. They went back.
So this is like going to be common, in my opinion, or at least common in the short term. It's like promotions. Wasn't Instagram doing the same thing? Or it was Instagram or Reddit was basically like, it was definitely Instagram, not Reddit. So I don't want to be calling you out, Reddit, but it was Instagram saying, we're going to be doing this promotion until 24, where we're going to have 0% fees, and then we're going to institute this. So it's always like trying to get people in. Oh, 0%, and then they pull this shit.
Dude. What the fuck? Like, talk about like having just an absolute lack of any sort of moral compass, right? This is where it all comes down to bottom line for so many of these platforms projects. It's unfortunate, man. Money rules everything around us, but it doesn't have to. It's just how most people fucking they default. They're too weak. They don't have yeah, they don't have the moral fortitude to actually stand up for something they believe in. It's just like go where the money is.
This problem will always exist. What, and correct me
Yeah,
if I'm wrong, but this problem will always exist because you can't enforce the fee on a transfer between wallets. Because what if you're transferring an NFT to yourself to
peer to
another
peer.
wallet? So you will always have this situation that will exist where you can't
Hmm.
enforce an NFT to be the fee to be implemented because people are trading it between their own wallets. So it has to happen at the marketplace level, in my opinion. It can't happen peer to peer. There's a yeah. It's an incredibly complex conversation. I feel like we're having those combos in the bear. Like the bull market's like not complex at all. It's like what project do we need to be getting into? What's all this
The
stuff? And now,
marketplaces,
yeah,
yeah, the marketplaces have a tremendous amount of power in terms of setting the market standards and expectations, right? And so that's why it's so annoying and disheartening to see them so quickly just all for, to your point, rush to zero, right? It's a race to the bottom, and again at the detriment of artists, like specifically, like y'all, like they could find solutions. They don't have to do optional royalties. They could implement different ways. Like it's all competition. It's a race to zero. That's what matters most to
so
them, and
so yeah, Mr. Joker saying I don't feel like it's that complex. The point that I'm trying to
it's
make is
not.
that it,
Yeah.
it it's complex because people have different takes on the issue. Like it's not something that I feel in every scenario is black and white. We were even talking about within the royalty segment, should there be a cap on royalties that you're paying out 15 G's for, 20 G's for? Should there be a royalty on, like, here's another thing, the airdrop people were getting via I think was it Blur? Whatever NFT somebody got, like if you're getting a free claim or a free airdrop and you're not paying creator fees on it, that is like even beyond like what you're
I
talking
think
about
that
here with
was
just fees.
wasn't that the art gobblers we were talking about? People got a free mint and then they were paying, they were flipping for zero royalties.
Yeah, 20
It's
ETH,
like,
zero royalties
yeah,
is like you're kind of a piece of shit. Like I personally have had this experience, so that's why I raised the question so much about having like some type of ceiling or some type of cap on royalty fees. It's like 20 G's, 15,000. Like I know I'm being a little bit, greedy in that sense because that's clearly just a percentage of what I'm selling it for, but I also have taxes that you have to pay. It's like it feels like a lot.
yeah. But
So
but this is the issue with taking this route and setting these expectations and standards, right? Is that like when I look around now, it makes me start to question my own values. I'm sitting here saying, well, shit. So many people now are just like going to whatever marketplace and paying 0% royalties to the creators. So like, why wouldn't I do that then? Right? So you set these standards and these expectations that are just not where they should be. Like the expectation should be the artist gets the royalty that they assign to their own project, and that should be it. Like
mhm.
you either decide whether or not to buy or sell or transact based upon that, but you don't get to say like, maybe I'll tip them, but probably not because we know where that goes. Most people won't tip, and at the end of the day, like a bunch of other people didn't. So like, why would I?
Yeah.
So that's what's so fucking damaging about this whole thing and the way that these marketplaces have done it and not taken a fucking stand is that they are now setting the precedent and the standard that people are just going to be like, why would I pay a fucking artist royalty? Why
Mhm.
would I ever do that? I want it free. That's the race to the bottom. I think the solution now is going to have to be enforceable and hidden fees that go to the creators. The creators
Mhm.
have to get paid.
Mhm.
Like we have to figure that out,
It's
and it's gonna come through some kind of innovation or tech or code or like implementations. And
yeah.
and again, maybe part of it is it's just hidden in the fees, so you're not seeing it every time. Like when you go to a movie and you buy a ticket, you don't see
Yeah.
the percentages that are getting broken up to the different artists and actors and people that built that shit. You don't see that. It's hidden. So this radical transparency here is a downside because people start to be like, well, I mean, I get the marketplace gets their fee, but like Why do I have to pay the artist?
There's a lot of different actors in the NFT and Web3 space too, right? Like there's creator artists that are creating art. There's people that are creating video games. There's people that are creating music. All of these different things. There's people that are creating just purely PFP collections for that, for its own sake. So, in my opinion, when it comes to the royalties discussion, it's like, okay, you're in the NFT space, you have an NFT asset, but that's not necessarily the same. So I don't want to be spending when Riot gets into this. I'm already complaining about a fee that I have to pay them, but that's an NFT. Should I pay the royalty to Riot? So but where do we draw the line with artists and a company that is like Reddit, where you're paying a 10% fee to now Reddit? It's tough for me to kind of talk about those two, because a lot of it is about reducing fees that you're paying to a large entity. And that's what we do in day-to-day life. We don't want to be taxed or pay fees to these large entities, but they have NFTs that they're selling us that we're going to have to pay a royalty fee for.
Dude, that, like, you don't have to participate. That's the fucking thing. These business, like, these artists are trying to be businesses. We need to treat them like they are businesses.
Yeah, the artists.
These businesses should get to set their own fucking business models and not have it be optional based on the marketplace, right? And so, like, you can decide whether or not to transact and buy Reddit shit. You get to decide that.
But when, like, you're going
you shouldn't get to decide whether or not to respect somebody's business model. Like, agreed. Whether or not, like, if you are interacting and transacting with if you want to buy their shit, if you want in on their community, if you care enough, make that decision. Do you want to pay it or not? So don't just say, like, I want all the benefit and I don't want to play, in their ecosystem. Agreed. By their rules. Like, this is why Apple's so fucking smart for setting the standard, again, the expectation. They don't do fucking discounts.
Yeah. I don't know why the NFT space I don't know why the NFT space is like, why are you taking advantage of this? Like, that's the standard fee that they're implementing. Although, again, I don't necessarily agree with that fee, man. And like Ticketmaster is another one. Before you go out to check out at Ticketmaster, you have to pay 5 different type of fees. And for the most part, people have a bad experience with that. And they think that we should be disintermediating that. So, but this is kind of doing that. In a way, it's like, I don't want to be paying all these fees. Now, to the creator, I get it. But to Ticketmaster...
Don't disintermediate the fucking creator. That's the thing. Like disintermediate as much as you want, but don't fucking dick over the creators. Yeah. Like, this is, again, artists have been devalued throughout history. Artists have not gotten like, a lot of times they're not business savvy, and people are like, they're fucking replaceable. This is supposed to be different. It's supposed to be fucking different. And if it's not, then just fucking say it's not. You know what I mean? But, like, it's getting ridiculous. But here's the thing, you know how Apple became, like, the most valuable business in the entire fucking world, maybe in all of history? It's because they set that standard. Mm-hmm. They don't do fucking discounts. They are a premium brand. And if you want our shit, you pay this amount. That's the power of a standard. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that this race to zero fucking bullshit and just, like, making artists optional is damaging.
Yeah, it gets back to a lot of what's happened with music creators as well, right? Like, they've been taken advantage of for a long time because they don't have the avenues for revenue. And it's just like, that seems like you're just bringing those same problems and there's no solution to it.
Mr. Joker's making a good point, and that's that Ticketmaster could not and would not cut out the headliner, and they couldn't, right? Like, the actual artist, they couldn't get away with that shit. Mm-hmm. Why is that even an option? Like, frankly, like, because it's not regulated, it's not unionized, it's not instituted yet. It needs to be, because, like, it shouldn't be an option whether or not you respect the creator and the artist royalty on a project. Mm-hmm.
Every time we jump into this conversation, I feel like we're learning a little bit more, but we're also kind of just, like, discussing it in real time. So it's tough. My biggest thing is, like, in the world today, when you're talking about entities, we're often trying to figure out how we can have that race to zero. But with artists, it shouldn't be. You know, like everything that you see in your your life commercialized is how do we get the cheapest product? And there's going to be entities that get into this space that sell things that we want the cheapest product for. You know, the NFTs are essentially going to be the quote, right? Quote unquote, everything. But but where do we draw the line when there's NFTs houses being sold on the same platform as an artist piece? You know?
Well, I think what you're going to get is more stratification. And what I mean is that like fine art and artists like creating the Apple, you know, the premium, the quality products are not going to fuck with any of these marketplaces anymore. They're not going to be there. They're going to create their own platforms. They've got the nifty kits. They've got the no code smart contracts. They've got options to build their own marketplaces now where they can make sure that they are enforced in their own ways. So they're not going to go there. And so what you're going to end up with is Amazon. Like OpenSea is going to be the Amazon where it's like you go there for the discount shit, the quick and easy. You go there for the like shit coins and access tokens, and it's like, oh, I just need something really quick. Maybe I'll go to Amazon. But like to me, they've reduced their ability to also be a place for real artists, real art collectors, and shit like that, right?
That's a great point. Stratification, I think, is the answer, right? Like people that are buying art from a creator that is maybe a small time creator, big time creator, whichever creator, you're going to go to a certain platform. It's not necessarily going to be on OpenSea. That's essentially what you're saying, correct? I would agree. I think I would agree with that. I think
if you're looking for like legit NFTs that are actually valuable, created by real creators, OpenSea is not the fucking place. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. None of these platforms that are courting traders over artists are the place. So like go get your shitty fucking, you know, your collectibles maybe there, but like if you want legit NFTs, like you're not going there.
Love it. All right, where are you getting this talk?
It's the difference between buying on Amazon and going to a fucking Louis Vuitton store. That's where it's going.
Where are you getting this talk, folks? Nowhere. Other than NFT Live here and the GM Web3 show, of course, and the Nifty Q show and everything we're doing on the Web3 network. We appreciate you guys participating in that talk. I knew the talk was going to last longer than 20 minutes. Somehow I knew it. But yo, great takes here today.
You set me up. You set us up, Q.
That's setting you up. All right. Any last hot takes before we get out of here? Thank you again. We covered NFT London today, OpenSea, adding optional creator royalties, and we will continue to follow the FTX and Binance stuff. Hopefully, again, that stuff comes to a easy conclusion of just SBF showing that they're solvent, so that we don't have any kind of cascading effect here for the rest of the industry. But you guys were awesome today. Prodigy, Don R, Pax Mark, Mr. Joker was getting after it. Love to see it. Time as well. EOS Watchdogs, you guys were great today. Sorry we couldn't get to a lot of the comments. Honestly, you guys just had a ton for us to get through.
Easy
Hopefully,
in crypto.
Easy. Speak easy, baby.
Time Inc. Giovanna Sun. Our vibe, our tribe, y'all. Big
for
vibe.
Sure. OVOT, Mr. Joke saying Banksy's works sell for millions. He had an old guy selling original Banksy's on a street corner without the name for $60 and he only sold like 5, couldn't get them off. Point being, the marketplaces can add their own fees. Cutting out the artist isn't the answer. All right. Don R saying OVOT, and thank you guys. We will be here tomorrow. We will be on the GM Web3 morning show as well. We have Jessica Yatrovsky with her launch on Coinbase NFT, I Heart Girl. If you don't know, now you know. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for stopping by. Gif, take us out.
Yo, like it. Subscribe. We love you. We appreciate you. We will be back tomorrow with more NFT Live and GM Web3. And that's it. Our vibe, our tribe.